Thank you for joining us today. We have special guests actually, and we're going to call this the twin episodes. And yeah, you're right. This is called the Twin Thing. That's the name of their podcast, the Twin Thing. As you see, is Aspen Summers and Aspen Leanne Summers and Ashley Summers. Let's talk about Ashley first. She's an actress from Denver, Colorado, and she began performing at age of 8 and has since appeared in many films, commercial, and stage productions. I'd be interested in knowing about that. And with Aspen, she's an actress as well, and she's a creator with a passion for making the world a better place. Aw, that's sweet. So you began acting at age 7 in your second grade production of Mice from Outer Space. Whoa. So I don't see anything here where the first time I was on stage was theater. I was a mushroom or flower or cucumber walking around dancing like everyone says. All right. So Ashley and Aspen, whoever wants to go first, tell us about yourselves and what got you started with the Twin Thing podcast and talk about your acting and everything.
Well, I can start because I'm older, so I was here first. So before I was ever interested in acting, I wanted to be an opera singer. I had just turned 7 years old, and I saw this girl on TV who was a few years older than me, who was an opera singer, and I was like, that's so cool. I want to do that. So I told my parents I wanted to be an opera singer, and they were like, what are you talking about? You're 7. And also, nobody in my family was artists. They were all sports people. And I was like, no, I'm going to sing opera in my school talent show. So I started teaching myself an opera song. I made up all of the words. I didn't get into the talent show that year, but I was really determined. And so my parents eventually signed me up for singing lessons when they saw that it was something that I was really serious about. At the same time in my elementary school, you would just do little, like the second grade was the first year you got to be in a production. So we did Mice from Outer Space, and I had one line that I had to share with Ashley, and I still remember it. It was, who or what are you? We were an Earth mouse. I think it was like Earth mouse number 36. It was really special, but I really loved being on stage, and I continued taking singing lessons. I eventually found a really good vocal coach who was like, you might want to start with something a little bit less challenging than opera and work your way up. And so she introduced me to this book that was kids' Broadway songs. And I was like in love with it. And so I auditioned for a musical at the local recreation center. I didn't get in, and Ashley did. It was my first introduction to rejection. But then the next year I auditioned again and did get in. And then I just loved being on stage so much. And after that, then that same recreation center had like plays that they would do that were more like all age, like for older people. And so Ashley and I auditioned for one of those, and we didn't think we were going to get in because it was a lot more competitive. But we did, and it was super fun. And from then on, I was like, this is what I want to keep doing. So I was acting for a long time, doing theater and musical theater, all like whatever youth things that I could find. And then when I was 12, I auditioned for an acting school that had a career program, and started going there. And that was a really pivotal moment in my acting life because it turned it into not just a passion, but like something that I knew I wanted to do in life. And it was very influential because the teachers there were just so amazing, and they really showed me how to learn and how to be confident in myself and also get better. And whereas a lot of the other experiences that I had throughout doing youth theater and stuff was a little bit discouraging. So that was kind of the acting side. And then I eventually went on to study theater at the University of Southern California, which is where I am right now. But in the meantime, Ashley and I have always been very entrepreneurial. So when I was the summer between junior and senior year of high school, so I was 15 and 16, I produced my first big play that I wrote about a story that was really important to Ashley and I, that had inspired, it was to raise money for my parents' nonprofit organization. So I did that, and then COVID happened in the middle of our senior year of high school, and we decided to make our own web series. We had like 30 some actors that we cast from around the whole world, and we all filmed over Zoom and made a 10-episode web series, and then we made a feature film spin-off of that. And then the next year we started a theater company that we currently run, which is a nonprofit theater company for kids. So we just really are always trying to figure out how we can create and how we can keep our passions alive and share them with other people. So how It's a Twin thing started was we both ended up accidentally taking leaves of absences last spring for separate reasons. We did not at all intend on doing it at the same time, but the universe has a funny way of making things happen at the same time, and we can't really get apart from each other. So we both ended up not being in school, and we were pretty invested in working on our theater company and doing a lot of work for that, but we were like, what else can we do? Since we're not in school right now, we want to do everything that we've always wanted to do, and like try to find things that are fulfilling to us. And I think Ashley can speak a little bit more to like where the idea of the podcast came from, but it was something that we had kind of floated around for a long time, and we were like, we just want to jump in and do it, and we weren't really sure about it, but we just started, and we really loved just having the time to get to talk to each other and sharing our views with our audiences, but especially our interview episodes has been super fulfilling because we have just talked to so many amazing people and heard really amazing stories. And so, yeah, I guess that was the kind of long version of how it came about.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're talking about entrepreneurial spirits. I mean, come on, Angel Wing Production, you started 3 years ago, and you, of course, were quite young back then. And everyone, there's a web series called and you're going to find this funny, Twinned. I never thought of that. I mean,
Yes.
having grown up with two sisters, I never thought of something like Twinned. I mean, wow. One of my sisters was born 2 minutes later. So specifically, they're mirror twins, but they are identical. And I don't know about you, but they were dressed up in the same outfits, the same dresses. I'm even today I'm thinking, how were they able to tell you apart? So aspirin, yes, aspirin. So you big headache probably to Ashley. So
Yes, I probably
and
am.
Aspen and Ashley. So when you were actually going through school, did you ever play that game where you both pretend you're each other? And when Aspen got in trouble, you'd say, I'm not Aspen, I'm Ashley. You ever done that?
We were very much goody two shoes when we were in school. So people would always tell us that we should do that, and we were a little bit afraid of it because we thought we were going to get in trouble. But when we were in fifth grade, our teachers thought it would be, because we had different teachers in fifth grade, and our teachers thought it would be really funny if we did that, and they wanted to see if they would notice. So they both told us that we had permission to do it, and then they asked the principal, and she said we had permission to do it. So then on like the last day of classes for the year, we switched places, and Aspen's teacher noticed the second I walked into the classroom. She was like, "Oh, hi, Ashley," and my teacher did not notice all day. So I think that was the only time we ever did that. But we talk about it a lot, and there's been a couple times where there's like little things where one of us has to go somewhere and already has something scheduled or something, and we'll be like, do you want to just go to this for me? So once in a while we'll do things like that, or we'll just blame things on each other. Like if I forgot my homework in high school, I would say, oh, I let my sister borrow my textbook and she didn't give it back to me, so I'll have to bring my homework tomorrow. So there were some things like that where it was pretty convenient to just be able to blame things on the other one.
Well, before we continue, I want to talk to you about, I saw a documentary on twins, and there's so many different types of twins, not just mirror twins like my sisters, but they're also psychic twins, where you would have one of the twins would be in an accident and the other twin would feel it. Did you ever get that?
It's hard to say because we'll have like random things. Like a week ago, I saw Ashley and I was like, I don't know why, but my finger's been hurting all day, and just like the most random thing, nothing happened to it. And she was like, yeah, I got a bug bite on my finger and it's been really itchy all day. And so there's like random
Wow.
things like that where it makes no
You go.
sense, but then there's also most of the time it doesn't seem like we share each other's pain or anything. But yeah, I guess every once in a while that twin tuition kicks in. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You're like, I don't want to put you in the same category as the Olsen twins because they had their share of difficulties, but you're going to be better than that. You're going to grow up and you're not only going to be entrepreneurs, but you're going to have your angel wing productions, your corn twinned, and you're actually going to you're going to go far in this world because you guys are very intelligent. I've actually listened to a lot of your podcast and I really enjoy it. I'm going to make sure everything is linked down below. So, Ashley, was it you or Aspen about some? I was listening to one of your podcast episodes talking about an audition story that you have. Was that you, Ashley?
No, that was Aspen. Um,
Aspen.
she's had her share of embarrassing auditions.
Okay, how about ask? Okay, Ashley, have you ever had your, embarrassing auditions? Do you have a story to tell?
I don't know. Maybe Aspen remembers better than I do, but I don't think I've ever had one that was like funny embarrassing. There were just a lot that didn't go well because when I was younger, I would just get terrible stage fright. So I would get really nervous and I would like mess up a lot and forget what I was singing or things like that. But I never had anything like funny like Aspen has.
Okay, Aspen, can you tell us that the audition story? That just was, I was listening to it while I was working and I was going, oh my God, this is a lot better than what I'm doing on the computer right now. Okay, so can you tell us that again?
Yeah, so I was probably 15 or 16, maybe not that old, but I had been auditioning for a while and I went to a musical theater audition. Um, and I don't know why I was having such a hard time acting like a normal human. Um, but I walked into the audition room and realized that I forgot my sheet music, which usually you bring in your sheet music and you hand it to the accompanist. And so instead of being like, oh, I forgot my sheet music, I'll be right back, I just remembered and ran out of the room. And so it seemed like I got nervous and had just left. And so I ran out and my mom was like, what are you doing? She thought I was freaking out and left, which had never happened to me before. And so I think she was really confused. And I was like, oh, I just forgot my sheet music. And she was like, why didn't you just say that? So I grabbed my sheet music and I went back in and I was like, I'm so sorry, I forgot my sheet music. And then I handed the accompanist my sheet music and sang and whatever, and then went to get the sheet music back from the accompanist, and he had a bowl of some sort of rice sitting on the piano that he was eating in between the auditions. And I reached to grab my music and just completely whacked the bowl off of the piano and it splattered all over the floor and made this giant mess. And everyone in the audition room was not very happy. I think they were running like 30 minutes behind already and it was really awkward. and I didn't know if I should help or if I should just get out of the way. So I think I kind of just like sulked off and left, and I didn't get the part, but it was really embarrassing. It makes for a good story now, though.
It is. It's a great story. Love that story. Can you give me a little bit of a background of, like, I know you started Angel Wing Productions, but what were you planning to um, bring to the table? Like, is that for, besides um, storytelling, lighthearted comedies that bring joy and laughter? Was Corn Twin part of the Angel Wing production, or is that a totally separate thing?
Yeah, that was kind of the launching point for Angel Wing Productions because we had, when we were little, we would always try to make little movies and things like that. And that's where we came up with the name Angel Wing Productions, because we were had like a thing about angels when we were little. So it kind of started then, but none of the things that we tried to do when we were younger really worked out. But we just kind of stuck with that name when we got older. But when quarantine started, we had both been working on some projects and shows that we were really excited about, and they all obviously got canceled because of COVID. And we knew a lot of other actors who had been going through similar things, and so we thought we would just try to do something to create some content that would bring some joy into the world in such a hard time. And I think it was Aspen who came up with the idea for the web series, and we were like, okay, we just need to find 2 actors who will help us with it. We need someone to play our mom and someone to play our best friend, and we came up with a whole storyline that would make sense as to why none of the actors would be in the same location as us. And so we put out a casting call for those 2 actors, and we ended up having hundreds of people submit for it. And then we ended up writing a bunch of other characters so that we could create more opportunities for other actors, because we realized that so many people were dying for a creative outlet. And so that was kind of where it got started, and we ended up doing 10 episodes for that. And then after that series, a lot of our audience and a lot of the actors who had participated were asking if we were doing anything else, and they were wanting to keep working on the show. So we decided to make a feature film based off of the web series for Christmas. And we had that benefit St. Jude's Hospital. So we turned it into kind of a fundraiser for that. Wow. And that was also all filmed over Zoom. So it was quite a lot of work to be editing everybody's Zoom videos together and trying to make it into something cohesive and entertaining. But it was so much fun. And so we decided to keep the production company going, and we did a couple of short films and everything. And then actually over the last summer, we produced a pilot for a television show, and we are in post-production for that right now, and hoping to do something with that. So yeah, we're really excited about it, and it's been a great experience.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mentioned Corn Twin. I got another one for you. En-Twin-prenuers. Get it?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
I thought of it now. En-Twin-prenuers. There you go. That's amazing. I love that story. Thank you for sharing with us. Yeah, writing special things and just to lighten people's moods. Can you tell us about the Stage Bugs Theater? Like, what's that one about? Is that sort of the same thing as your other one as well? Like, how do you separate the two?
Yeah, Ashley, do you want to?
Oh, sure. Well, I just talked a lot, so I didn't know if you wanted to.
Well, Stagebugs is your
okay. Stagebugs is our theater company. So Angel Wing Productions is like a film and television production company, and then Stagebugs is a nonprofit youth theater company that we started about 2 years ago, and that was something that had been a dream of ours forever. But when we were in middle school and high school, we obviously couldn't start that because we weren't adults ourselves, so we wouldn't really be able to be in charge of a bunch of kids. So we started that after our sophomore year of college, and that was something that we wanted to like create a space for kids to participate in theater and learn about the arts and get opportunities in performing arts that would be uplifting and inclusive and accessible to everybody, regardless of their experience or their background or their economic situation. And like Aspen mentioned earlier, we had some really incredible teachers when we were learning and growing up, but we also had a lot of experiences that were really discouraging and didn't really give us the experience that we had hoped to have. And there were just a lot of situations where we felt like things where we were supposed to be learning and being educated and being given opportunities ended up discouraging us and making us feel bad about ourselves. And we didn't feel like we were getting the education that we wanted to out of it. So we decided to start Stage Bugs to give a different experience to kids. And we both absolutely love kids and we love theater. So we thought it was a really great way to combine those two things that we love. So we do summer camps and we do free workshops for kids who can't necessarily afford different theater opportunities. And we also have scholarship programs and grants for students to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity to participate. And we have done classes and camps and all that jazz. And that's kind of all the things that we're doing. I mean, I won't speak for Aspen, but I think that is my favorite because it's just such an incredible experience. And it's so fulfilling to get to work with these amazing kids and watch them learn about theater, which is one of our biggest passions. And just seeing them grow as people and as artists is just such an incredible opportunity.
Well, as twins, how do you and Aspen collectively create each other as if you were Borg collective?
Aspen, do you want to take that?
You're not Star Trek fans.
I mean, it's definitely hard collaborating. Well, I say it's hard working with each other, but like we wouldn't have it any other way. And it also, I think she's the easiest and the hardest person in the world to work with. I think it's hard because we're so close that we don't get away from each other. And so sometimes it's hard separating work and life. When we're at school, we don't live together, but when we're at home, obviously we're in the same house, and we do go to the same school, and we are often working on the same things together. So we see each other a lot. So it can be hard just like balancing our relationship and making sure that we're treating each other as business partners when we need to be, and treating each other as sisters when we need to be. And it can be hard because when your sister's really stressed, you want to be supportive and be comforting and do everything you can to make her feel better. But when your business partner is behind on something that you need done in order for you to do what needs to be done next, then you want to be on them to get them to get their stuff done or whatever. And so sometimes that can just be a little bit stressful, but I think for 95% of the time, it's just the most incredible experience to get to work on so many things together because we are just so close and we think so similarly. And I think we both have big, crazy ideas all the time that I feel like if we asked anybody else to do them with us, they would be like, what are you talking about? And we're both just like, oh, you want to do that? Yeah, I'll do it with you. Let's jump in and see what happens. And I think that we both have very similar passions and just really want to make a difference in the world in the same way. And we also just have a ton of fun together. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely a balancing act that you have to learn. And we're constantly learning about how to work together and discovering, I guess, best practices because we're going to disagree, of course, on different things. But it's such a blessing to have her. And I think twins in general are so amazing, but I think we both got especially lucky.
So, Aspirin, if you're right, is Ashley wrong? And if Ashley's wrong, are you wrong? Like, since you're twins, is it possible that one of you are afraid to tell each other that they're wrong when you're supposed to be in like sort of one mind? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, you come up with that decision. Let's say you have two decisions. Ashley makes up her mind and says, let's go with choice in option number 2. And you say, no, I'd rather have the first option. How do you work that out?
I think that's hard for us because we're both people pleasers a little bit. And so I feel like it tends to be, if we disagree, neither of us wants to be the one who made the wrong decision. So if we're trying to decide, I don't know, what's a decision we recently disagreed on?
What shows to do for our summer camps?
Yeah, so like if we're trying to decide between two shows, or we've been having a big debate recently about doing if we should have any outdoor camps, which we've done in the past, but we've run into a lot of issues with that for our theater company, or if we should do all indoor camps. And so if I say I think we should do some outdoor and Ashley wants to do only indoor, then I don't want to be the one who says we should do outdoor camps and they go horribly, but Ashley doesn't want to be the one who says let's only do indoor camps, and then people are upset because they want something outside. So it's hard for us to work it out, because then we'll be like, oh no, let's just do it your way. No, we can do it your way. No, it's fine. No, I want to do it your way. And it sounds like that would be very civil debating, but sometimes we have gotten into really heated arguments when we disagree and we want the other person to just have it be their way so that we aren't the ones who like ruined it. So that's kind of genetics too, is like we're just born people pleasers. But we are pretty good about, like, because we know that, I think we are aware that most of the time neither one of us is 100% right or 100% wrong. I think we're pretty good about just rationalizing and figuring out what are the risks and what are the benefits, or what is going to be most feasible, or things like that, and then just figuring out, like, using logic, I guess, and trying to keep our anxieties out of the decisions as much as we can.
So do you think that you have a need to always spend 100% together, like the Olsen twins? Like Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, they're together all the time. Like, is there ever a time when Ashley will be over here and Mary Kate will be over here? Like, when is the time that Ashley's over here doing her own thing and Aspen's over here doing her own thing? Like, how often is it that you're alone doing your own thing?
That's a good question. I think that we are kind of hyper aware of that, because I think that in our experience, people kind of have this like expectation that twins are always doing things together, and so we always feel like we can't be doing things together because we want people to see us as separate people and not as a pair. So I think that is something that we always keep in mind, and we certainly do have separate interests and separate projects that we work on and things that we do on our own. Like, we are not in any of the same classes at school or anything, so we're always, doing different things and meeting other people and hanging out with separate friends and everything like that. But like Aspen said, we also really love working together, and because we have so many of the same passions, it is just really easy for us to work on projects together. And when we have our grand ideas, it's kind of like working. I mean, I don't want to say it's like working with another you, because I think that we are very much separate people and we have separate ideas and separate personalities, but we also have a lot of things that are so similar. So it's maybe like working with your soulmate or your spouse or something, because we just know each other so well, and we, for the most part, get along so well, and we love to support each other's ideas and everything. So it just is we really do love working together and spending time together and everything. So it's kind of a balance because we will certainly try to do different things, but we often will end up like jumping on the bandwagon of the other person's project or friend group or anything that the other person is doing, because it's just kind of like the universe wants to throw us together, and we've sort of embraced that lately because we want to be seen as different people and independent people, but also we are trying to like worry less about what other people think and do the things that we want to do. And I think for our careers and our fulfillment in life, it is best for us to be working together. I mean, not all the time. I don't think we should only work with each other for our whole lives, but we also, at this point in our lives, we really love working together. And I think that there's no way that we could accomplish the projects that we're working on without the other person.
So I take it that during the pandemic, did you have to social distance from each other, or did you just say, nope, not going to do that? We're sisters, we're twins, we're one person. We're not doing a 6 feet away from each other thing. What was going through your head?
I don't know that it was that much of a consideration because at the time, we were seniors in high school, so we were living in the same house. And so our immediate family, which was the two of us and our mom and dad, didn't really social distance between the four of us because it was just too hard. We were living in close quarters, and I don't think we were always like hanging off of each other and stuff, but we were in our bubble. We never left the house besides obviously like going to the grocery store and things like that. So it was not really something that we had to consider between the two of us. But we also, I don't know, we are a lot more now, but when we were younger, we weren't super like touchy affectionate. So it wasn't like we were like, oh, I want to give my sister a hug, but I can't. Like every time we would try to hug each other, we would laugh.
It's like hugging yourself.
Yeah, I
guess. Yeah, I mean, talking about being together and doing your own thing. Well, oh yeah, that's right, Ashley. So, how come you didn't want to explore your super singing, talented opera voice, and Aspen did?
Well, when Aspen started singing opera, I joined her because I didn't want her to get all the glory. But I quickly learned that I could not sing very well, and she was always a much better singer than I was. So
that's not true.
I started taking voice lessons, and I did musical theater when I was younger, but I think I turned to acting more quickly than she did because I was like, I'm not sure this is my thing.
Yeah, Aspirin, I really I love reading about how you the role of Gloria in the highly anticipated upcoming film Seraphim. I don't know if this is new information. Is that a movie that just came out, or is that coming out?
It was recently released. It was actually a short film, but it was released. It's been going through film festivals lately, but it was a really cool horror film that I did. It had a really great story. It was about two sisters who one of them was speaking with this being that lived in the family's basement, and she was the only one that could like interact with the being, and she ends up
Wow.
being possessed, and so I was the sister who turned out to be possessed, and I am not a horror movie person. Such a scaredy cat, but for some reason, I love acting in horror films and projects, and it was one of the most incredible cast and crew experiences that I've ever worked on. And like I got this really amazing eye makeup every time that I turned into the possessed being. I had eyeballs painted all over my face. So So it would take about 4 hours to do every day that they did it, but it was just really cool. And I think it was my first experience with like that much effects and attention to detail, and just, yeah, it was a really cool experience. And like I said, it's been in a lot of film festivals lately. I think they were just in their first Academy Award eligible film festival. They were just at Screamfest in LA, which was at the Chinese Man Theater. So they've been doing really well, and it's been really exciting to see it going out into the world finally.
So, Aspen, so why didn't you just become an opera singer and that's all you do? And Ashley, you become the actress. Like you can
Well,
choose something, you just follow through with it.
um, I was also not. I took singing lessons for like 8 years and never. I mean, I got better, but I was never like the most amazing singer. So I think it was just kind of a natural evolution of that singing became musical theater, and then I still enjoy doing musical theater. But I think I just found that I was passionate about so many things, and I wanted to keep doing acting. And then my passion for acting just turned into a passion for creating, and I wanted to do everything, create everything that I could. So I still love acting, and that's like my primary. I mean, that's what I'm studying in school. But I also want to just continue creating things. I would love to sing if like the opportunity ever presented itself to be in a musical again or something like that. So it's not something that I would just like given up on, but I think I've just it's developed more passions and more things that I want to pursue.
So, Aspen, I see here that you received a Broadway World Regional Award for Best Director for an Original Play Letters. Now, is it a playwright you want to be, an actress? You want to be a podcaster, like, or an opera? What do you want to do? What do you want to just set your sights on? Like, I don't know if you can do everything because your whole mental health is going to go haywire, and you're going to end up probably with a straitjacket. And Ashley's probably going to go, "Well, you're on your own there." No.
I wouldn't do that to her.
So, what do you think about that? You have any choice of which way you want to go? Do you want to go in all sorts of directions? I want to be a playwright. I also want to be a director. I also want to be an actress. I also want to hang out with my sister Ashley. I want to, help her do her thing. Blah blah blah. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in your senior year of college, that's definitely a big question, is figuring out what you want to do next and where you picture yourself. But I think that, like I said, there are so many things that I'm passionate about, and I feel like it's becoming much more common and accepted in the entertainment industry for people to be multi-hyphenate. And I think there's so many successful people who are actors who are also have their own production companies, and they write and they direct. And there's actors who have podcasts and have YouTube series or have book series or things like that. And so I think I really just want to keep cultivating these things that I'm passionate about and taking every opportunity that presents itself. And I think there is such an opportunity right now in just the world to create your own content and to make your own entertainment. So if I want to act, then why not write something and direct it too? Because if otherwise I'm waiting around for somebody else to give me the opportunity to act. So I think I do want to just see, I guess, like take every opportunity that presents itself. And when I have an idea for something that I want to be in, or a story that I think needs to be told, figure out how to tell it, whether it's me acting in it or me writing it or me directing it. And yeah, I think that there is an opportunity to be multi-hyphenate. So that's kind of where I think I'm headed.
So when you start an Angel Wing production, like let's say I want to start a theater production company or a film production company, Okay, now I have the name. Now what do I do? So what is the first thing you do, or what is the first thing you did to get you where you are after what, 3 years?
It's kind of been different with all of the different businesses and projects that we've started. So with Angel Wing Productions, we had, it kind of came from En-Twin. That was just something that we wanted to do during COVID, and we weren't sure that we were going to do anything else with it. But then we needed a name for the production company since we were producing the web series. So we just picked that, and then we wrote the scripts and we found other actors. And so that one was really just focused on the project. And then we just have had a lot of other ideas of projects that we've wanted to produce. And so we've just done it under that same production company since we already have people that we work with there, and a website and things like that that we can just keep building on. But then like with Stage Bugs, and we also run a student production company on campus at our college right now. So with those things, they both started with us wanting to start the company. And I don't know, it's kind of a crazy process to start something like that, but it's also, I think that you kind of just have to take the leap and do it. Like with Stage Bugs, we came up with the idea, we made a business plan, we made like a budget and figured out what our financial situation would need to be able to start it. We had to fill out a bunch of paperwork and applications to become a nonprofit, and then we built the website and we started advertising and marketing to everything we possibly could, so that we could get students to come join us. We started by doing free workshops so that we could allow people to come try out our classes before they agree to something more long-term. And we've just been building it up from there.
So instead of having a script, can I just get like 3 actors and say, okay, I want you to pretend this. Or give them a scenario and let them on their own intuition to figure it out?
Yeah, so there's definitely opportunities for improvisation, which is acting without a script. I think it really depends what story you want to tell. We've both done improv, and I think that there's improv shows and improv troupes, and people love going to watch improv and seeing what happens. And generally, that's more for comedy, but it doesn't always have to be. So I think it really just depends what you're trying to create, because if you're wanting to create an improv scene or an improv video or something, and you want to see what happens and see where the actors go with it, and of course, you don't always have to just be doing a full-on improv show. Like there's plenty of films that we've been in, or that we've produced, where we'll have a scene and we'll say, like, let's just see what happens, let's just improvise for a minute. But I think if you are sitting down wanting to create something and you have a story in mind that you want to tell, and you have the message that you want to come across, then I think having a script is important, because you want to make sure that you're sharing the message that you want to be shared with the world. Because obviously, as the creator, even as an actor in an improv scene, you don't have authority over what happens, because improv is all about your scene partner. And so if you're trying to control the story, then it's not going to make a good scene. So yeah, I think it definitely is possible, and I think it really just depends on what your goals are, if that's something that you should prioritize and do, or if you want to go more of a traditional script route.
Yeah, it's sort of like Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's my favorite show.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
a good show.
Yeah. Now I improvise the song because I'm a vocalist. I'm a tenor. I sing a lot of opera. I sing
Cool.
German, French. But I'm trying my best. And I have this podcast, which is interesting in itself. I'm celebrating its 2nd anniversary. So
Congratulations.
almost 150 episodes. October 11th, 2021. That's when it started. Yeah. You said that in unison. Amazing. Wow. You should
That happens a lot. We get annoyed sometimes.
harmonize each other. Yeah. So the song I did at church, and I was practicing for a week, and I totally forgot the second verse. So I
Um,
improvised, and people still went up to me and said, "That was great. Oh yeah, great voice. I loved it. Blah blah blah." But instead of me going, "Thank you very much. I really appreciate it," I went, "Yeah, yeah. Well, I had to, improvise a second. Blah blah blah. Shut up, Chris." And then I shut up, Chris. They love it. That's all you need to know. Um, so Ashley, yeah, thank you for that excellent story, Aspen. And you don't talk too much. I love what you say. Is there something about you that people misunderstand the most that maybe Ashley understands better?
I feel like that's something Ashley should answer because we talk a lot about you're the only person who understands this about me, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Can you think of anything, Ashley?
I mean, I think it's hard to answer because I feel like people would have to be us to understand it. But I think that there's just so many things that we feel like we not that we're like nobody understands us and we're so misunderstood, but it's just like we think so similarly that even just simple things like we're both pretty sarcastic, but people seem to never realize that we're being sarcastic, and we just have the same sense of humor, so we'll like always get each other's jokes and other people are like, what? And we're like, oh my gosh, we can't make jokes around anybody who's not you because nobody understands. And I think that I think it's a blessing and a curse because we have often been like, or even like, I wrote and directed a play that we're producing at our theater company at school right now, and Aspen is acting in it. And when I was casting the show, I was like, I feel like it's weird for me to cast my sister in the show, but also because I wrote the script and we think so similarly, like she just plays the character how I had envisioned it, even without me giving her any notes or anything, because she just reads it in my voice pretty much. So yeah, I don't know that there's like one specific thing that I could say that other people misunderstand about Aspen that I do understand, but I think that it's just like it's kind of like sharing a brain with someone because we know what the other person is trying to say even if they can't find the words to say it, or when we're having conversations with other people, if Aspen's getting frustrated because they aren't understanding what she's saying, I'll be like, okay, let me explain what she's trying to say, and then I can usually say it in a way that they understand. So yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic, and it's weird to think about that other people don't have that, because that's just how we've spent our whole lives, is just like having somebody else who knows exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly true. So it must be hard when you answer the phone. They're thinking, "Oh, Ashley." No, it's Aspen. Or Aspen when you pick up the phone. Hello. Oh, hi, Ashley. Like even sound alike. I couldn't even like if I close my eyes and you say something, I wouldn't even know who's saying it. So so when you become so you want to be a voice actor, like you want to do a lot of voice roles. How is that going to work when Aspen sounds a lot like you?
It's kind of funny because people always told us that we had the same voice, and I was like, no, we don't. Our voices sound so different. But since we've started the podcast, sometimes I'll be listening to it and I honestly don't know whether it was me that said something or her that said something. Um, so I think it'll work out well for us if we want to be voice actors, because if one of us is sick, the other one can just go fill in that day and go to work for us. I mean,
Hmm.
we probably shouldn't work on the same project together because people won't be able to tell the difference between the characters. But if separate projects, I think it would work out.
Yeah.
I love it. And your podcast, it's a twin thing, and all the guests that you get. Like, how do you find them? Can you give us a little idea how you find your guests?
It's hard. It's harder than we thought it would be. We've been really grateful that we've had a lot of people that we know, family, friends, and past teachers and past people that we've worked with on acting projects and things like that who have been really gracious and willing to be guests. But we are, and we also have been able, our dad is one of those people who knows everybody, so he's been able to connect us with some really amazing people. But it has been hard to find guests because our interviews with the guests are ones we call that show Twinspiration, and we're always looking for people who have inspiring stories or who are really doing amazing things in their communities. And I think we really want to find everyday heroes, and there's so many out there, but it's hard to find them and hard to get them interested. Some people who we personally know are just not, they're like, I don't like to listen to my voice, I don't like to be on the microphone, I love you but I don't want to do it. And then it's hard to get other people outside to be interested in doing the podcast. There's a lot of, I guess, not professional podcast guests, but people who do podcasts a lot, and some of them have really amazing stories, and some of them are doing really cool things, but they're just not the right fit for our podcast. So sometimes it can be hard when there's people who are interested, but they might be interested in coming on and promoting a business that doesn't really have anything to do with what the premise of our show is, or people who have gone through really hard things and they have really sad stories, but are more, unfortunately, there's some people who are kind of looking for an outlet to complain and looking for an outlet to share strong political ideas or things like that. And of course, there's always a space for that, and people deserve to have their voice heard and have a place where they can share those things, but that's just not the nature of our show. And so it can be really hard to find the right guests, a lot harder than we thought it would be. But like I said, we've had such amazing guests, and everyone that we have found. Ashley does a really great job. I edit all of the podcasts, so she's the primary guest finder, and she does a really great job of finding people just who we've never, like, just randomly comes across people and reaches out to them. And we've had like, we just did an interview with a para athlete who had a stroke when he was 6 years old and lost the use of his left side, and he's now
Wow.
a two-time World Games gold medalist, and he's training for the London Marathon. And
Wow. That's
we had,
inspirational.
we've
Yeah,
had a
it's
lot
really
of just
amazing.
super inspiring people who we've learned so much from. And it's been, I mean, we're both kind of introverts, and I used to really hate talking to people and even just talking on the phone to my family and stuff. And I feel like since we've started the podcast, it's just really taught me just how to have a conversation with people. And I think learning how to understand other people and really listen to them is so important, and not a skill that everybody has in this day and age, and certainly one that I don't think that I had. So beyond just getting to share our podcast with other people, it's been really fun just to do for ourselves, I think.
Yeah. You ever checked Amanda's World with Amanda Penny? We had
I
on.
have not, no.
Yeah, we had her on our podcast, and she talked about how she gets all her guests, and she interviews friends, she interviews just people she knows. But I don't know if she has, like, you're not the best fit thing. Um, Also, my friend Peter Cabral, him and his nephew, I've known Peter since for years. They have a podcast called Just Hit Play, and they take albums and then they talk about them and review them. But I'm interested in, like you were talking about earlier, um, about your people pleasers, but then you sound kind of hypocritical when you say that who's the best fit for our podcast. Aren't you people pleasers? You should get everyone on your podcast. Like, is there
Oh,
is there a problem why you can't get just a regular skier who skis on, like, I know somebody who skis on their feet. They water ski on their feet. Would he be something you would want on your podcast, or does he have to survive cancer to do that?
oh no, absolutely. I'm sorry. I think I might have not explained that correctly. I didn't mean, I think we're looking for those kind of people who are just everyday inspirational people. The goal of our podcast is to be uplifting and be inspiring. And some people are, we definitely try anybody who we come in contact with who is interested in doing our podcast, we definitely try to find a way that we can like interview them in a way that is having them come on and be inspiring. But I guess I just meant the people who are like, they want to come on because they want to tell us their opinions on who should be the next president and
Uh,
why we should buy their, why everyone should buy their computer software, and they don't have any interest in talking about like how they became an entrepreneur and developed this business that they have, or how they, I guess, got interested in politics or something like that. Like, we just don't want people coming on and giving the audience a negative experience, I guess, if that makes sense.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does make sense. I'm looking at this one here that you did called Twinspiration Para Athlete Aunt Brian. And then you have one called Brittany Braswell. So yeah, I mean, these are all Jenny Desir. Yeah, these are really, really great podcast episodes. So I can see what you mean by being the best fit. But do you have a backlog of people who are wanting just to get in the front door to be on your podcast?
No, we've had some people definitely reach out to us about being on the podcast, but for the most part, we find our guests by reaching out to them because we kind of the reason we started the podcast was because we wanted it to be a place where people could go to hear good news and hear inspirational stories, since so much of the media that we consume today is bad news and stressful news. And so those are really, I mean, like Aspen said, we want to interview everybody who is interested in being on the podcast, and we're always open to people who are interested, and we want to learn a lot about people's stories because we think that everybody has something inspirational in their lives that they can share. But yeah, for the most part, we're often reaching out to people and asking them to come
Yeah.
on because we just come across people who we think would be really interesting guests. And we are, since we have so many projects that we're working on, we're often so swamped with things to do that we don't have a ton of time to like schedule interviews super far ahead. So we have like 2 or 3 on the backlog, but we would love to be 4 or 5 months ahead, but we're not at that point yet.
Yeah, and we've never said no to somebody who's been like directly been in touch with us that they want to be a part of it. Like I said, we are always looking for a way that we can, because everybody has a story, and so as long as they're willing to share their story, we're always looking for a way to spin whatever they want to talk about into something that's inspirational. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And basically, I have some good people who bring me the guests, and then I sit down with them, like you amazing twins here. Well, I didn't say Ashley was amazing, but anyway, so just joking. Um, yeah, and this is a beautiful conversation we're having. I'm learning so much about you. So now I can't remember how long your podcast, it's a twin thing. When did you start that again?
We started it around January of last year, so we've been doing it for about 9 months.
Oh, 9 months. And you enjoy it? It's something you still enjoy?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And then are you thinking of collaborating on like a big movie production, like an hour, 2 hour movie? Or do you like to stick with the shorter stuff?
We are open to doing anything. We don't have anything in the works right now that's a longer movie. Like I said earlier, we're working on a pilot for a TV series. So that's been our main focus in terms of the production side right now. But
And it's an hour long.
yeah, it's an
Yeah,
hour-long
so
pilot.
Pretty
Oh,
long.
really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing. Though these things take a long time to do, though.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
we are very, very busy. We were just having this conversation earlier that we kind of both feel like we're doing like 3 or 4 full-time jobs at once right now because we've a little bit overcommitted ourselves to because we just have so many ambitions and passions that we're like, let's try this, let's do this, and then we sometimes bite off more than we can chew, but
Yeah.
it's all
I have,
things that we love, so it's okay.
I really appreciate you. So, did you want to tell me a word of advice for my audience, whether you want to do it together, you want to do one at a time? Go.
Ashley?
Um, I need to think about it. Do you have one?
Okay,
I
I'll give
guess
you.
I.
Let's help you
Oh,
out here.
good.
Ashley, Aspen, I want to start a podcast, or I want to be an actor, or I want to come up with a, like I mentioned before, a theater company, whatever. Is there any words of advice that you can give me that makes me go and do it?
I would say when I was younger, I was always looking for, like, my favorite interview question was when people that I looked up to, when they would be asked, like, what's your advice for someone who wants to be like you? And I would get so annoyed when they would say, don't give up or just keep doing your best, because I was like, that's not helpful. I want to know, like, what do I do? But I really think that the best advice that I could say is like just find what sets your soul on fire and do it. And I know that that sounds scary and not helpful because um, that puts it all on you. But I think it that really is the best advice, because everything that I've found fulfilling in my life is when, even if it's something that I'm afraid of doing, I just take the risk and do it and see what happens. And you're never going to know that it's going to be a success, and you're never going to know how to do it or how to start. And everything that Ashley and I have done has been just 99% figuring out how on earth we're going to do this and how we're going to make this work in trial and error and lots of failure. And I think that we so often just see these like overnight successes, and not that that never is a real thing, but I think so many of what we see, all of a sudden somebody becomes successful, but that's because that's been preceded by years and years and years of work and failure before they are successful. And so I think um, really just believing in yourself and believing that if you keep working hard and keep doing your best, and as long as you love doing something, keep doing it. And eventually, I mean, if you love it, I don't want to say that eventually it's going to be worth it, because it should just be worth it for the sake of doing it, I think.
Well, you may not know that my co-host Kylie Montigny not only has her own podcast, Talk of Fame podcast, but she's also an entrepreneur. She's also a
Oh,
twin, and she also has something called Women Empowerment.
Oh
And
oh
wow.
wow, that's
she
awesome.
just turned 17.
Oh wow,
Wow,
that's
that's
crazy.
amazing.
So how about you, Ashley? Just hearing from you, do you agree with what Aspen says?
Yeah, I think that like Aspen said, that there isn't really like a secret to success, or if there is, we haven't found it yet. I think that we are doing all of these different projects, but haven't we haven't like reached necessarily the level of success that we set out to with any of them yet. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. And so I think that really hard work is the key to making things happen. And I think for people who are wanting to start a business or become an actor or start a podcast, whatever it is that you want to do, I would say that just go do it. Just start um, and do your best and see where it takes you, because you can spend forever trying to figure out the right way to do it and the best way to do it. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I think that um, for Aspen and I, we just, and maybe sometimes blindly, we just jump into things and try them. And a lot of times it doesn't work out, but we always learn something from the experience. And there's always something to gain from it, and you can always keep improving and keep growing. But it really is just a matter of jumping in and doing it, because that's the only way you're really going to learn how. If you just sit around and wait for someone to give you the key or bring you the opportunity, it's never going to come.
That's amazing. Wow, so inspirational. I don't believe it. Wow. You two girls are amazing, and I'm so happy that this was great. Really great interview. I can learn a lot from the young generation. Yes. Okay, guys, I don't want to keep you, so I appreciate it, and I can't wait for. Wait, did you just release a new episode just recently? Power
Yes,
Athlete.
our new episodes come out every Wednesday.
Yes. Everyone say everyone. It's a twin thing. Ashley and Aspen Summers. We'll link everything down below. And excellent. I'm looking forward to this because people are just going to be like, this is amazing. You guys, I don't believe. And you're how old?
We're 20.
20, right. 20. Sorry,
Yeah.
20. 20-year-olds. Wow. Amazing. And you started this Angel Wings when you were 16. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to close this off. See you, everyone. Thank you. Ashley and Aspen out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye, guys.